Well, hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Harebrained Games. Today we're going to do a review of SAS, Rogue Regiment. Everything you need to know about it is on the box somewhere. I'm kidding, there's absolutely no information on it, which is fine because it's a Kickstarter, right? SAS Rogue Regiment is a tactical game in which you and several other players can join in to take on crazy missions from crazy people, crazy operatives and commandos as they make their way across the landscape to solve and complete different objectives. And those objectives vary greatly. Let's stop the chat and let's get cracking. Okay, let's take a look at what comes inside SAS Rogue Regiment. Dun dun dun. All right, you get a lot of pieces. You get a lot of peace inside. No, not really. First off, we're going to go with the elephant in the room. You get a lot of tiles. Let me show you the whole thick double-sided tiles that are available. You have a nice variety of different terrain types based on their configuration and how they match up. You're going to get These are going to fit into the various mission scenarios. Lots of water, lots of land, lots of terrain, etc. Look at those thickness, let alone the four I have out on the board. What else do you get? Well, you're going to get a lot of enemies, and these enemies are, you've got your submachine gunners, and then you get your riflemen. They play an epic part. You get your corpses. Of course, you do want to know about that. You get some damage tokens for vehicles and a variety of different just tokens for things. You also get, and it's not sold in any store, this dice tower, which I didn't even realize was a dice tower until I put it together. Now I'm like, yeah, look at that. It actually works, and it works well. Give me a 6. Give me a 6. Okay, try again. 5, close enough. Every player or every character, operator that are in the game, you are going to take on operators, is going to have its own player board here. It's going to have its own tokens to represent itself on the map, and it's going to have various tokens for some of its special abilities, as well as a health tracker. So that's what we've got. We've also got a handy dandy line of sight tool that will tell you how far away. So if you're trying to count hexes, square hexes, to determine whether you are able to be heard or seen, this will help you. This will show you the way. You also have, in every scenario, some event decks. Now, these event decks are color-coded for different missions. Some of the missions will have you using some of the different decks. Why is that? We'll find out later. But each one has a variety of different sides that kind of tell you what to do during the two major modes of play that are going on. And some are just not friendly events. So anyway, resistance, the resistance. Yes, so anyway, you have that. You have a timer. This is a timer for when you go from, hey, I'm real quiet and stealthy, to boom, here I am. Beyond that, you also have additional operators. We had Jacques, the custodian of all things weaponry, and Nancy, and Anders, and Patty, and Ginger, and Henry, all to go along. Little ditty about Jock and Die. I don't know. Anyway, beyond that, you also have a mission guide. This tells you everything you need to know about the various missions in the game. If you get the black box, which is the deluxe Kickstarter edition, you're going to get quite a few different additional extensions to the game that will have missions as well, all color-coded and all represented well. You also have the player book, the rule book. The rule book is thick and filled with mighty, mighty, mighty examples, lots of details of the various modes of play, as well as breakdowns of the additional rules and joy to be had from the Kickstarter version with the later contents. And those later contents are here. I've separated them out because it turns out that's a better way to do it. So here's the Kickstarter components if you're going to play that. There's a hot dogs mission or set of missions where you can be, fuel. And you got heavy metal. Obviously that's Sabaton, or maybe not. Jagermeister. And then those who dare CC, you've got all of that as well. That's about what comes in the box. We've got, again, some additional terrain pieces that are going to fit on the map. Got a quick reference guide that's actually been pretty useful, as well as some line of sight rules, because there are a few nuances to the line of sight rules that are good to know. And then again, like we said, different missions have different color-coded decks. of events that will occur that will thwart you or please you. And I'm going to tell you now, they will thwart you more often than not. That's what we got. Now let's take an example of play. All right, let's go through an example of play of SAS Rogue Regiment. This is not a full-on playthrough. If you're interested in that, or you find this overview piques your interest in the game, you can go to the official YouTube channel, and it will show you the designer, I believe, giving a full playthrough of a couple of the missions, which is very informative, much more granular than what I'm going to show you. What is the object of the game? The object of the game is to win. How do you win? You win by completing the mission objective. There are a lot of missions in here, let alone your own ability to create some. Some of them get very elaborate. In this case, we've done Mission 1, Scattered. We have set up where everyone's over the map, and Jacques, not Cousteau, is ready to go find and rescue one of his comrades. Oh, wait, no. He's supposed to rescue Anders, but Anders took the day off, so instead, my grandson said, you got to rescue someone important, so we're going to rescue Boo. Hi, Boo. Boo is in there, and all of these nasty Axis units are hanging around trying to keep Miss Boo locked up, and that's not good. We need scream. We need laughter. So what we're going to do is we're going to show you how to play a round or a phase of the game. You'll notice here that I've got the first layout. There's terrain. You've got rocks. You've got forest. You've got hedges, and you've got low walls, high walls, lots of stuff going on. The terrain all has an impact on how you're going to plan your mission. There's a timer going on, alert timer. We start with 7 because I'm going with the easy mode. You'll lower that number initial value if you want a much deeper challenge. So that's going to keep going. Once that hits 0, we switch to a different phase altogether, and not a pleasant one. You'll notice the units on the board. Each of these units is faced in one orthogonal direction. We have riflemen, and they're going to patrol along certain lines, in this case the white line. You've got your guards. Those are placed on the map, and they stay pretty much in their mode, just waiting around until something alerts them, and then they switch into a different sort of behavior. And you have your sentries. Sentries will turn and look around over time. Very typical of your sort of tactical strategy, squad-based environment. All of these are going to take place. You'll notice, now I did bling it up. I'm going to warn you now. I have a little difficulty separating units. You'll see some of these units have their range of fire. They have a 90-degree viewing arc, as well as their sides. They can always see on the sides and stuff. And they have two sides. They have their I'm hanging out and I'm alert, something's going on, and the behaviors change based on which mode they're in. But I did add these wooden discs are mine. I put them there to give me some spatial information. Also, your operative has its own token, and it has a regular side, it has a crouched side, it has alert version of that. And Jacques here has a few examples. He's got a grenade, which is nice because he can use that grenade to blast a large group of people, but you won't want to do that. And you can do that and keep silent. Markers for targeting, lucky rabbit's foot, etc. Each of the operatives have their own special unique skills and abilities. It's a nice touch. In this case, I blinged it out and I created a large standing version of these for everyone. So how I've been playing it is this helps me remind me that I'm standing. If I switch to crouching, well, now I actually look like I'm crouching. So obviously these don't come with it, but I like the game enough to bling it out. So if that's not a spoiler, what isn't? So there we go, and we're ready to go. We got our watchtower, we're ready to go. Phase 1, you get to go first. The operatives all get to go first in every phase. So 4 moves, and you've got some availability on what to do with those 4 moves. I can tell you now that you can do a lot of things if you're standing. If you're not outstanding, then you're going to have less to do, but it will be harder for the enemy to see you. You can move, you can sprint, you can climb. These are all basic stuff. You can attack. What's interesting here is there are some combined moves. You can move one square and attack in a single move if you can pull it off. That's a nice touch. Taking aim, marking targets, blind fire, all these are situational. When you crouch, what you're doing is you're making yourself less visible to the enemy units. You can use a crouch position to be able to travel along hedges and along low walls and not be seen, as long as you don't do something stupid like, pop up and throw a grenade at a rabbit. So anyway, and then you can carry objects. Your typical, I grab a corpse, I move it into the brush, etc. Standard stuff. Again, this cheat sheet here is excellent for giving you all you need to know at a very quick glance. Soft cover, hard cover, etc. So what we're going to do is show you. On your turn, you move forward. Now, in this case, we're trying to get here. The mission objectives say that once Jacques gets up here and enters the room with Boo, aka Anders, then that is the victory win condition. So we have 4 actions, and you'll notice all the actions. So climbing on the rocks is double action. So, whew. All right. Well, that was easy. All right. So, and he's hidden because you can't see through rocks. You can see into rocks, but you can't see through them. That's very true of forest too. You can see into the forest, but you can't see through a forest. There's still an advantage in being in the forest here because you're going to get a bonus to anyone trying to shoot you is going to have a penalty when shooting in the forest, but you still can be seen. And seen is very important here. There's spotted, and then there's in line of sight, and those are 2 different concepts that took me a bit to kind of like grok and understand, but we're going to go with it. All right, we're done. The operator has moved. The axis advance, if there's any axis that are alert, they're going to start moving towards you. They're going to vector towards the operative that's been spotted, the closest one. We don't have that going on right now, so we go to the event phase, and this is the other critical part. When you flip it over, if you are in stealth mode, because right now we haven't triggered the alarm yet, we haven't switched to battle phase, klaxons, we're going to do what's here. And what's here says, well, we just automatically have an alert. Something happened. Oh, we're not going to go to 8. We're going to go to 6. 6. So we're closer to the end. And we do the patrol lines. We start with black. The next card we flip to white. And what that means is you go around to all of the patrol units that are going black and go 1, 2, 3, 4. Another black here. Oh, yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we've moved them, and oh wait, we started here, sorry. This is the original starting spot. So 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, we're done. Then the axis attack. If there was any operatives in view, in range, they would attack. We don't have that yet. I'll show you an example of that soon. And that's the end of the phase. The end of the phase, you do some cleanup. If there's corpses around that are hidden, you can get rid of them. If they're visible, you can't, etc. So now we go on to the next step. Let's start again. Well, now we're going to do 1, 2, 2, and then attack move. 3. You are dead. You are dead. All right. And so we're done with that. And so we put a corpse there. Now we still have 1 action point left, so we're going to wait on that. Notice that we didn't alert anybody because nobody could see it. Had someone been turned and seen that, that would have been bad. They would have gone on alert. So there we go. That's the end of the first set. This is very basic stuff. So we took him out. We have 1 movement left. So we'll wait till next turn. Maybe not. I'm not saying this is wise. I'm just saying this is what we do. So we can pick up. Yes, pick up. There we go. And place here. You can only carry 1 corpse at a time. No one's that strong. Okay, and we're done. And then the same thing's going to happen. We're going to go, okay, no one can attack. Here we go. This time we'll flip it. Again, the alarm. Let's do something more interesting. Okay, so this is all of the white sentries, or the sentries with the white marks, are going to pivot 90 degrees this way. So, you are spotted. On alert, found you. Spotted. Spotted. Darn it. And shout, let it on out. 4 squares, anything within 4 squares, like I see him. Again, these red cubes are they're easier for me to see, so let's just go with it. So we have the situation. So that's not good. Then of course we'll look around and go, are there any other sentries that have white? No, I don't think so. So there we go. So we have a situation now where the Axis patrol, are white. So anything that's not alert is going to continue on. This side doesn't see all that's going on here yet. There's a little mini adventure going on here. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. How you doing? Shut up. All right, and then we are done. Axis attack phase. So this is interesting. So this is a machine gunner. So we're going to look at the submachine gun, and they're within 4, so it's short range. So there's an extra bonus. So they need to roll 2 4s. They actually don't need to roll. So we're going to go this. Ouch. 3 plus 1 is 4. 4, yeah, 3, and they get a range, so 4. So 2 hits. Now we're going to do... Oh, wait, sorry. That was this gunner. The submachine gun. Notice that the submachine gun is slightly different looking than the rifleman. The rifleman only rolls 1 dice. Still same, close range. 4, another hit. Ouch. That's bad. Okay, so we're not doing real good. That was not a good wise choice, was it? Ha! Although notice... No, I did it right. Okay. Yeah, I did it right. Okay, so that's... Sometimes, notice that would not have happened if the rotation had gone the other way. And none of this would have ever happened, but you just never know. The patrols, they know. Alright, so we're done with that. So now what do we do? Now we have a choice to do something else. Now I'm going to show you shooting. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go, you know what? Forget this. I can't assassinate. It's time to... I've got a corpse. Crap. I got a corpse, which means that because I'm carrying an object, all I can do is move or move in place. So I'm going to place. Forget it. You are... whatever. It doesn't matter anymore. Like, you're going to be there, and I'm going to try and take you guys out. So, what is going on? We're going to try to shoot this machine gunner here, which means we're going to roll a die with our pistol. So action 1, action 2 is shooting with a pistol. I have to hit on 5, but I'm in close range. Because I'm in close range, I'm going to get an extra 1. Notice the range here, 4, 8, and the sound. So, 6. Boom! Goodbye, puppets. You are gone. Only your corpse is alert now. All right. And then we replace it with corpses that knows. And because it didn't get a chance to fire back, so that's done. And that's interesting. What we have here. We have ourselves an interesting situation. First off, we do noise. Anything within 6, 1, 2, 3, and diagonal is the same as orthogonal. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 is alert. Nothing else is in 6, but we now have somebody alert going, what's going on over there, guys? So, there we go. And then we're going to fire on this. 5. Boom. Ouch. A hit. Ouch. So I'm going to shoot again. So same thing. +1. 4 plus 1 is 5. So now they're gone. So that's done. So now we have 3 corpses in this bloody, bloody mall. And we're still spotted right now. And that's interesting. So now we go into the Axis advance phase. And this guard here is going to be like 1, 2, 3, 4. It's going to aim towards the closest spotted operator, because something's awry over there, and they got to find out what it is. Then we do another event, and the other event says, okay, take all of the white sentries and move them. There we go, like this way. And the only reason I didn't just do 90 degrees is there's no arrows on these sides. It's just a kind of a rule set they go. And then the black patrol units are on the black lines go. They're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, there we go. So that's what we got. So now we're set up with that. Now the Axis patrol phase is done. We do the Axis attack phase. I'm still curious on that one. I'll have to remember that. I think I did that right. So, anyway, if not, I mean, all it did was cost me one of these or not. So we'll figure it out. Okay, so that's that, and we're done in phase, and now we start again. Now we got a situation. What do we do? Well, he can't see yet, but the minute he gets in range, He's going to be able to see, but maybe we can take him out in time. Anyway, you see how it's going. So this is a subset of how to play. There's other issues too. So, for example, I'm just going to, what if, for example, I was here, and instead of shooting him, I marked him. You can mark a target, and that way, if for some reason the white patrol comes up again, then you could, before he's detected, you could say, you know what? It's not my turn, but at any point before the next round, I can save my shot. In other words, it's the ultimate, good night, sentry. I'll most likely kill you in the morning kind of thing, where you're like, okay, I know this event's going bad. I'm gonna shoot now. I get a +2, which is nice. So that makes it much more likely that I'm gonna kill someone. Also, if you wanted to make sure the shot worked, like I want to make sure, you could actually aim, and aim is going to add a bonus as well. Now what happens is, if they're shooting you and you're, say, in the forest, say this is detected, they're like, I see you, I'm going to shoot you, and they're trying to shoot, they're going to take a -1 for trying to shoot you in the forest. You'll notice that. There's also hard cover, like these walls here. So, for example, if I was here, there'd be a -2 penalty for this unit attacking in. A lot of everything's pretty much common sense-ish in this regard. And so anyway, but the idea being is that you're going to make your way forward. You're going to try to get to where our hostage needs to be rescued. But if you ever get down to 0, everything changes. You can forget about stealth. You can forget about patrolling. Everything's over. Every single unit becomes alert. They all are ready to go. They're all going to be looking for you. And not only that, but you start dealing with the other side. And no, I don't. Once things go to alert, there's no point in worrying about anything like stealth. But I like to do this just to show you how many units will be staring at you if you blow that. So there you go. That's what you're looking at, and that's a much darker picture. And not only that, but you'll notice units start coming on the board. So you're going to see more units starting to make their way here from this truck, and they're going to start heading in as well. I'm just going to show you visually, but so they're going to come on, and then in a later part, they're going to start moving. They're just going to be, moving forward to try to get to you. They're going to vector towards your location. So in other words, once the alert is sounded, once the klaxon starts, things get really harried, and you better have a better plan, because they're not going to stop. They're going to keep going and going. Oh, more, yeah. Anyway, but that's it. That's kind of what you've got. Now take this simple example, and yes, we're gonna Hi, boo. All right, we've done it. Pretend we've done the mission. Then we go on to the next mission and the next mission. Now imagine this basic set, and then start adding in vehicles, adding in tanks, adding in aquatic water scenarios, add in additional types of units in the, add in an airplane, add in different units with special abilities. Hey, I got a spear gun. That's the one thing that lets you assassinate from afar. That's nice. You've got explosives. That's pretty cool. You've got sniper rifle. You got all of your archetypical fun going on here. Those are the things that you're going to find yourself being able to be involved with this game, let alone just the most basic scenario. It's tons of content, but that's for my review. Let's get into my final thoughts on SAS Rogue Regiment. All right, final thoughts on SAS Rogue Regiment. Dun dun dun. As always, we go over the cons first, then we go over the pros, then we go over my final thoughts. As for the cons, like a lot of Kickstarters, this one kind of unravels a bit from the start at the opening ceremony of unboxing and punching out. One of the drawbacks was that everything was bundled up together in all the different sort of mini expansions that came with it. All just came inside the box. There was no real differentiated component list. There was a breakdown of like, hey, there's 200 counters. Thank you, I can add. Do I have everything? Who knows? It turns out that I had to go to BGG, Borging Geek, and download an actual component sheet that gave me all of it. And I was silly enough to just punch everything out, going, okay, cool, I punch it out, and then I'm going to organize it because I'm going to look and see where everything organizes. That was a mistake. Don't do that. Go get the component list. I spent a lot of extra time going back and going, okay, now I got to segment it again between all the different addition packs that came along with it. And so that was something to be keeping in mind. It was by no means the most egregious example of that. There are several far, far worse Kickstarters that just don't come with enough to go like, did I get everything? Real question when you've been burned before. The color of the decks also, like the actual event decks, required confirmation. There wasn't really defined what they did, but again, Board Game Geek is your friend here. Also, there was a case where the pieces were pretty tricky to distinguish in spots. These spectacles, they're not ornamental, and so it was a little bit tricky to kind of go like, are you really the guy in this circle that maps what I think it is? Not terrible problem, except for a couple places. There was one with like a red, what do they call it? Raspberry beret. Thank you, Prince. Kind of style, and there were multiple ones of those, it turns out, but they were separate. But it was pretty egregious in some parts, and some of the things like subtle, there's some subtlety between what's a guard, what is a rifleman, what's a it could have been more descript what they were. It wasn't, rifle here, rifle there, different units, yay. Thankfully, there's not a large variation of units, and so you're not going to have, okay, how do I detect these 50? It's more like, okay, there's 3 or 4 kinds of archetypical units, so you get used to it. And again, I blinged it out in my own way to kind of make it more obvious to my tiny brain what each one is, so nothing insurmountable at all. The backgrounds were kind of clever. They had different backgrounds for the same unit, with the idea being that if that certain unit was on a certain terrain, you would just swap it out for that one. I think it out-clevered itself a little bit, because I actually was like, it confused me at first, and then after a while I'm like, I'm actually going to switch to non-terrain so that I can see them better. Yeah, but your mileage may vary. Totally cosmetic, not a big deal. The other thing is the LOS rules, the line of sight rules, they're not super simple, really, despite the fact that there's a wealth, and I mean a wealth, of really good examples in the rulebook of how the LOS goes, plus its own cheat sheet and everything. It's certainly more intricate use cases that I needed to end up confirming, which I did, thankfully. There was one I was really off on and some I was close to correct on, but that is something to keep in mind if you're going to introduce this to people who don't already have, the 1100 LOS rules for 1104 games that are out there that seem to all have to do it a different way. Other thing is, table size is a premium. These are big square map pieces, and the later maps, they get hefty in size, and so if you're limited on table space, be warned. The table space for the map is going to be great. Now, to counterpoint that, the rest of the game is almost non-existent as far as what you have to lay out for time. You have your timer, you have your operator card, and that's about it. Everything's on that map. There's very little that has to go around the map that adds even more space issues. And so room is at a premium for you, then that's okay. But remember, the focal point is the board, and pretty much everything happens on the board. I loved it personally. I loved the I just complained that things were small, hard to see, but the map itself, not a problem. And again, I care enough about this game to bling it out and extra pieces and stuff. The only other thing I would say is I have worked on a lot of video games that had to do like tactical strategy game, everything from, first-person shooters, tactical squad, military sims, real-time strategy games. And in general, LOS rules, the one thing that tripped me up here was the term spotted. There's spotted and then there's LOS. You can be spotted, but not in LOS. And that was... Eventually, I didn't do this. I almost was tempted to do this, but just cross out spotted and put detected, because that's really more what's going on. When you're spotted, you're detective. You're spotted means, something's going on over here and I can't quite get a beat on it. LOS means I see you. That is so common and so prevalent in the many games that I both played and worked on that it really... I switched my mind to just say, look, you're the detected versus actually seen, because spotted has this visual connotation to it. And so when you see things like spotted versus detective, and this is, no, I've seen other people kind of be a little murky about it. And again, not a huge hurdle, just something in my mind that helped me out was to say, being detected by the enemies is not the same as being seen by the enemies, and that's a big situation. I just, worked on a lot of Unreal games, and they also have kind of a similar, like when you have your LOS and your AI kind of situations, they oftentimes have, yeah, you're detected or you're noticed, or, but then there's the, you're an LOS. Yeah, I see you. Now I can shoot and stuff. Those are the things that basically tripped me up as I played the game. Now let's get into the fun part, which is the pros. The rulebook is sterling. There are lots and lots and lots and lots of very specific examples for lots of those LOS situations I mentioned and other situations that deal with certain things. Again, not everything was completely clear, and other people I've seen have also kind of had a little murkiness to it, but you cannot fault the designer and the publisher and the writer of the rulebook for trying really hard to take the most complicated cases and address them. Something I really appreciate in a rulebook versus saying, here's a very simple example of what I just told you, but it's not going to cover the edge cases or the corner cases. I really appreciate that it's organized chronologically and incrementally. Very important considerations are also spelled out. If this is something different than you're used to if you play these kinds of games and it's spelled out in an inset or something, obviously there's some intuitive understanding of trying to help the player get involved with that. I will say that there wasn't a here's how you set up the game, put your token here, put your health marker here. There wasn't that. Most of it, to be honest, was self-evident. Like, you're going to start this mission, yeah, you're going to start at full health, why wouldn't you? And such. And so that didn't bother. I really, really give a lot of credit to the rule book for doing a good job. And the LOS rules, the line of sight kind of things, they might not be super simple in regards to these fringe situations, but in reality, for all the questions that I've had and as I played through it, they're very sensible. If you think it's a logical thing in real life, for the most part, it's how the LOS is the line of sight is meant to be played out here. And so that kind of helps out as well. You could just, if you're someone who's not like, I gotta know exactly the right rules, then you could be like, yeah, that makes the most sense. Let's go with that. Totally fine. Setup is super simple. For a game that has all of this packed into it, it's really simple to set up. It really doesn't take a lot of like setting up and organizing and shuffling decks and laying out this and whatever. It's, you set up the map, you get your person there, you set them up, and you're right into the fun, and you're going. And that's a really cool positive for this game, too. I love the operatives. They're this motley little crew of different unique, tangibly unique characters, and each ability and special is meaningful and impacting. And, and I love it, especially with the big tiles. You really feel like you have this spatial playground, this set-piece map that you're really actually seeing, vividly represented and active and in motion. And that actually comes with a contrast, which is I appreciate that the overhead of managing game state is streamlined as possible as it can be while still being sort of rich enough and interactive enough that you feel like stuff's going on. I mean, you could go the overhead of like, okay, each unit, draw a card, or you could go super simple where they just like, move to, whatever. This one takes the best of both worlds and mashes it together and says, let's do as streamlined as possible while still making it not gameable, but also not just dumb. And as you saw in my example, things could go really well or mightily poorly based on that event deck. And so you're not guaranteed to have a smooth sailing, or maybe you could and you just go, thank you lucky stars. I really like the layout of stealth that trickles away variably. Not like you've got 5 turns and in 5 turns that alarm's going to go off. So no, I'm going to move around. I'm going to manipulate. Yes, there's always that motion. There's that time in the back of your in your mind. But then you go in and you're like, you make these moves. You try. At some point in this mission, somebody's going to notice something, and when that happens, incrementally, or maybe you're like, screw it. Grenade. Ha ha. Pow. Then you got the klaxons and the dangers. Then you got squads coming in, and you've got everyone turning their attention. You've got like that just feel of like, oh my gosh. And depending how far along you are on the mission, you're like, this got real complicated real fast, or whew, I think I can pull this off. We're almost to the end line here. So it's so emblematic of some of the best tactical stealth games, both video and analog. It really, really sets the tone nicely. The other thing is variety, variety, variety. You got your most basic simple map, which I showed you. It's operatives versus Axis units in a very simple, quiet mission. You know, we saved, boo. But then next mission, next mission, next mission. You're adding vehicles, then you're adding more vehicles, then you're adding officers, then flamethrowers, mortars, squads, special units, aquatic options, a big airplane, and you get this just plethora of adventurous tales going on, and it all ramps up. You're getting more and more. You're getting comfortable with what you're doing. Then we add these and that, and you get these just beautiful layers of additional missions. And they're not rote. They're not okay. Now switch these two tiles and play it again. They're no. Now we're going to add this thing, and this is a big impact. And now we got to worry about this, and this. Oh my gosh, let alone the mission editor, which is not a second-class citizen. It's not a hand-waved add-on here. It really does work. You can create your own missions, and you can have a blast at doing it. And so, big props to that. So, in overall, final thoughts on SAS Rogue Regiment. Wow. This is the best tactical-based board game I have played since Galaxy Defenders from almost 10 years ago. Wow, that is my reaction. This game hits so hard and so fast on that Metal Gear Solid vibe, Metal Gear NES kind of vibe. It emulates the best of video games, the XCOMs, the Metal Gear Solids, Commandos, Shadow Tactics, Dishonored, I guess, in a 3D setting. In such a really wow kind of way. The previous game that I thought really kind of did the best video translation of game style was Sniper Elite, which was done by the guys who did Undaunted and whatever. And it was quirky, but it gave a vibe that was reminiscent of that specific game. But this one, wow, this hits on all cylinders. Wow. I love it when a plan comes together. I love it even better when I didn't even have a plan and it came together. This was an afterthought to me. I saw so many ads for it, and I'm like, whatever. The worst that happens, I can use the pieces for something. And so I love surprises. Another game style similar like it is the Undaunted series, which I've done a few talks on. I don't think I've done a bunch of reviews on, but Undaunted Normandy, Undaunted North Africa, Undaunted Stalingrad, Undaunted Battle of Britain. And that was before this, kind of the decent, simple, kind of like nice, pleasant between the hex encounters and Mark 44-ish, and it did its solid job in its own right. That's probably the compliment I can give to it. I mean, and it's not a direct competitor here because this is purely for the most part co-op. There is a way to have an enemy play, but for the most part it's co-op. But that one kind of presents a sort of grueling grinding style, though, a more subdued approach, whereas SAS is a cinematic, driven by tension game with lulls and just movement and just tension, and then evokes concern for your team. They say the best frightening movies are the ones where nothing actually happens. You just have this fear of death is worse than death itself kind of thing. And this has that sort of like, okay, I'm moving, but then all hell breaks loose and you're just going. So every mission is kind of like a story with its own subplots going on. It is a surprise home run. Again, getting it on a whim and having it over-deliver. The last time that happened was a couple of years ago with a game called Hogs of War, which the Kickstarter was a disaster. I got the expansion pack, and it took 2 months for them to give me the actual game. And so by the time I got the game, I'm like, this better be good because I'm already soured on the experience. And then Hogs of War turned out to be like the most packed, amazing game. There's some parallels here between that, and it was more of a crazy on a map hogs, crazy over the top stuff in its own right. I need to go back and play that one again. But this one, same thing. Like I didn't have high expectations, and then it just blew me away. You know, growing up, one of my favorite movies was like Guns of Navarone, and I remember every Christmas, I'm like, Mom and Dad, I want the Guns of Navarone action set from the Sears Christmas catalog, and every year I didn't get it because every year it was just a little bit too expensive, so I got Afghans. But that's okay because I still have the Afghans, so I never did get it, and that's okay. You know what? We all wish for what we sometimes don't always get, and you know. But the whole point of that, getting that, was because I wanted to relive these battles and feel alive and not bogged down in procedural planning, and that's what SAS Rogue Regiment does now. It gives you this sort of tactical place and space to play, but it doesn't get you bogged down in tons of procedural planning and coming up for, even though the list of actions you do is pretty lengthy. It's not a two-item menu here. You know, you don't have to worry about this procedural planning, running all the missions, simming and all that stuff, and then coming up for air to see how the battle's actually going before going back down into the spreadsheets and stuff. In this, you're in the middle of this exciting mission with the same vibe as a tactical video game. This is like watching a black and white World War II flick on Turner Classics on a Sunday afternoon, except you're in the thick of it. The only caveat I'd say is I'd love more. I think this is a great system. It deserves more. It needs more. I want more. So yeah. Big hit for me. So 9 out of 10 easily. Thanks again, and we'll see you next time on Your Brain Games.